When I was about 9 years old, I lived with my mom and my little sister in a small house tucked into a quiet town. On the surface, everything felt normal. The street was considered safe, and during the summer the neighborhood kids would race their bikes up and down the sidewalk until the sun went down. But even back then, something about that house felt off. My mom used to shrug and say it was just old, and old houses creak and settle. That explanation made sense during the day. At night, it didn't. Some of the sounds I remember weren't the soft groans of wood or pipes cooling down. They were different, deliberate, almost. And even now, I still can't fully explain them. The first thing happened on a night when I couldn't sleep. I was lying in bed with the blanket pulled up to my chin, staring at the faint glow in the dark stars stuck across my ceiling. My room was small, just a bed against one wall, a dresser across from it, and a toy chest near the window. The trees outside cast long shadows that stretched and swayed whenever the wind blew. I kept telling myself that was all I was seeing, just branches moving in the dark. But then I noticed one shadow that wasn't moving like the others. It stayed low in the corner near my toy chest. At first, I assumed it was a pile of clothes or one of my oversized stuffed animals. I almost laughed at myself, embarrassed by how jumpy I felt. Then I blinked, and it was gone. A wave of cold washed over me, the kind that feels like it starts inside your chest rather than in the air around you. I pulled the blanket over my head, trying to convince myself it was nothing, and eventually drifted off to sleep. By morning, I had nearly forgotten about it until I saw my toy chest. It was wide open, like someone had been rummaging through it. I never left it open. My mom would get upset if my toys were scattered everywhere. I quietly closed it and said nothing. A few weeks later, my 5-year-old sister casually told my mom she didn't like the man in the closet. The way she said it made my stomach drop. It wasn't dramatic or scared. It was matter of fact, like she was talking about a neighbor. My mom immediately dismissed it. "Little kids imagine things," she said. But I looked at my sister's face, and I knew she wasn't pretending. She told my mom that he would stand inside her closet at night and whisper to her, but she could never make out what he was saying. The way she described it wasn't dramatic. It was calm, almost frustrated, like she was tired of being bothered. My mom tucked her in that night, smoothed her hair back, and said a prayer beside her bed. But she never opened the closet door to check. I remember noticing that. Later that same night, I woke up to a sound that made my heart slam against my ribs. It was slow and deliberate, like something being dragged across my wooden floor, like fingernails scraping along the boards. I didn't dare move. The sound crept closer inch by inch until it stopped right beside my bed. I was convinced that if I leaned over and looked down, I would see something staring up at me. I stayed completely still, gripping my blanket so tightly my hands hurt, and somehow forced myself back to sleep. In the morning, the fear rushed back the second my feet touched the floor. Right there, along the side of my bed, were long, thin scratches gouged into the wood. They looked fresh, pale against the darker floor, as if someone had carved them in overnight. I ran to show my mom, expecting her to finally understand. Instead, she got angry. She accused me of dragging a toy or using something sharp. I swore over and over that I hadn't touched the floor, but she didn't believe me. After that, things escalated. The nights felt heavier, like the air itself was thick. I started hearing faint whispers drifting from my closet, soft and low, like a radio playing in another room. Sometimes my sister would wake up crying, and when I ran to her, she would sit up in bed pointing to the corner, repeating, "He's there! He's there!" I never actually saw anyone, but I believed her. It felt like being watched all the time, that prickling sensation on your skin when you know you're not alone. The whispers and subtle movements in the corner grew more frequent. Each night, it felt like something was just beyond sight, lingering near the closed closet door. The shadows seemed to stretch toward me in slow, deliberate ways, and the air carried a faint tension I couldn't escape. The worst night came in the middle of winter. I woke up and immediately noticed my bedroom door was open, even though I always shut it before sleeping. The hallway light was on, casting a dim yellow glow across the floor. My mom always left it that way for us. I stared at it, trying to calm myself. Then, without warning, the hallway light went out. Not flickering, just off. I told myself the bulb must have burned out. That's when I heard its slow, heavy footsteps moving down the hall. They stopped right outside my room. I tried to call for my mom, but my throat felt locked, like the sound was trapped inside me. The door slowly creaked wider, and a tall, dark shape leaned into the doorway. Just its head at first, stretching into the room as if it was looking directly at me. I squeezed my eyes shut and forced my breathing to slow, pretending to be asleep. I don't know how long I stayed like that, too afraid to move, but when I finally opened my eyes again, the doorway was empty. The hall light was back on. My bedroom door was closed. I was alone, or at least it looked that way. In the morning, I asked my mom if she had come into my room during the night. She barely looked up from making breakfast and said no. She'd been asleep the whole time. My sister quietly added that she had seen the man again, this time standing right beside her bed. The two of us told my mom together, and for the first time, I saw real worry flash across her face. That evening, she walked through every room of the house with a lit candle, whispering prayers under her breath. The house smelled like melted wax and smoke. For a little while after that, things seemed calmer. The air felt lighter. We almost convinced ourselves it had worked. But whatever was there hadn't left, it had just been waiting. One afternoon, I came home from school before my mom. The house felt unusually still. I sat on the couch doing homework, trying to ignore the silence, when I heard it, my toy chest in my bedroom slamming shut. The sound echoed down the hallway. I froze. We didn't have a pet anymore. No one else was supposed to be home. I told myself it was the wind, even though the windows were closed. Slowly, I walked down the hall. My bedroom door, which I always left cracked, was now wide open. My toy chest was shut tight, but every single toy I owned was scattered across the floor, as if someone had deliberately dumped them out. Not tossed, dumped. I didn't go inside. I backed away, heart pounding, and waited outside on the front steps until my mom got home. When I told her, she blamed it on the cat we used to have, even though deep down we both knew that explanation didn't make sense. Years later, after we had moved out, I finally asked her the question that had been sitting in my chest for years: had she ever experienced anything in that house? She went quiet. Then she admitted yes. Sometimes she would wake up in the middle of the night and see a shadow standing in her doorway, watching her. She said she never told us because she didn't want to feed our fears. But she confessed she always believed something was wrong with that house. She thought it might have been a man, someone who had once lived there and never really left. She never gave details beyond that. But I know what I saw. I know what my sister described without hesitation. And even now, as an adult, when I think back to that house, my stomach knots the same way it did back then. It wasn't childish imagination. It felt intentional, a presence that wanted to be noticed. Some nights when the world is quiet and sleep won't come, I still hear it in my mind, the slow, deliberate scrape of nails dragging across wood. After we had moved out, the house was silent. Dust settled on old furniture. Sunlight filtered dimly through grime-covered windows, and shadows lingered in corners as if waiting. It felt empty but not abandoned. Even now, I can recall the darkened bedroom floor, faint scratches barely visible, and the shadow that once occupied the corner. The memory lingers, a quiet dread that never fully leaves.
So thank for watching, and I hope you like my this video, so subscribe this channel.